Somehow I woke up out in Beverly, fucked up, smelling like that bourbon. If I end up alone, I'm not certain. Yeah, the girls impolite in the club every night. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect.
Introduce you before we take off. You might recognize him from The Tonight Show. That's right, it's Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Welcome to the Universal Studios Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide,
Bruno.
and the greatest driver,
Jesse.
They're the best. I love that. Even though Bruno owes me $5. I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
That's right, we do have a couple safety rules to go over first and foremost. If you need guest assistance or have a medical emergency, if you drop something of value off the side of the tram, or just have any sound or video issues, just reach up and grab that radio cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram, and I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please remain seated. The studio is private property, so at any time during the tour you drop your phone or maybe just can't wait to use the restroom, just pull that cord and remain seated. Also, please no smoking of any kind during the tour, and be prepared. Our tour today features loud noises, sun, tram movements, fire effects, and plenty of water effects. So you want to have your cameras out for great photo opportunities, but keep an eye on them so they do not get wet. Finally, for your safety and those around you, please refrain from using any selfie sticks while on board the tram today. Now, like I was talking about on the load line, before we get to the actual movie-making property, we're going to start with a little bit of history. This is our Universal timeline, and this is where you'll see a few posters to represent this few of the thousands of movies we made for Universal over, again, a 104-year history. So, again, since 1914, we made everything, as you can see, from disaster films, to monster movies, to dramas, comedies, rom-coms. Anything you can kind of think of, genre-wise, in movie-making, we're known for making it here, right here at Universal Studios. But did you know we're not only Universal Studios, we're actually also Universal City. That's right, we're known as the strangest city in the world because we are a town just like yours back home, except we're dedicated to making movies and TV shows. Good example of this is how we have our own zip code, our own medical service, our own postal service, and if you look to your right, you'll see our very own fire station. That's right, that's not a movie front, that's not a facade, that's a real working fire station that houses all of our very brave firemen and firewomen that responds to any kind of emergency we have here within city limits. So again, any kind of emergency we have within the studio, they're going to be there to help us out right away. And another very good example, again, how we're an actual city. We even used to have our own mayor and our own DMV for all of our talent and all our employees here, right here on the lot. So really, our own little self-sustaining community. But as you see, we're going to be coming further down the timeline. You'll see more Academy Award-winning films like Schindler's List from Mr. Steven Spielberg, of course, who's one of the biggest names in Hollywood today, who got to start right here at Universal, along with other great movies starring Russell Crowe, like Gladiator, which won Best Picture back in 2000, sorry. We're coming into our front lot now, which is home to some of our 28 different sound stages. If you don't know what a sound stage is, basically just a giant room that's basically soundproofed to give our creators the greatest control greatest degree of control over their lighting and their sound. You might have seen to your left, Soundstage 12, which is one of our largest sound stages that was home to The Voice. It's still currently home to The Voice, a hit singing competition on NBC starring Kelly Clarkson, Adam Levine, Blake Shelton, and Jennifer Hudson, and is hosted by Mr. Carson Daly. Speaking of some of our largest sound stages, if you look to your left, you're going to start seeing stages 16 through 20 right up close. Yes, again, things like Superstore on NBC and The Voice shooting stages right here, as well as our sound stage 12. And if you look inside right over there, you'll be able to see the inside. You see, but we can create anything from, say, stages for Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Psycho, as well as Red Dragon, even stuff like Bruce Almighty, right here again in these sound stages with a little bit of resource and some of the talent from our directors and other filmmakers. Again, like I was mentioning before, we shoot a lot of NBC shows here as well in 16 and 17. That's where they construct the retail store Cloud 9 in Superstore, starring America Ferrera and Ben Feldman, the hit comedy, again, on NBC. But not only do we shoot, again, a lot of TV shows and commercials and music videos, you'll know these from big movies as well, such as Apollo 13. In fact, if you looked over to your left, you'll see Soundstage 21, where they built a 1-to-1 scale replica of Mission Control, NASA, for Ron Howard's big blockbuster. And if you look back at the movie, you'd never be able to tell that's not the real deal, but rather a 1-to-1 scale replica in Stage 21.
Realism tourism was an essential element for Apollo 13. After all, we were recreating an important moment in American history, a moment many Americans witnessed on television. We thought about filming in Houston, Texas, where the original control room for the Apollo missions still exists. Unfortunately, NASA's engineers didn't have filmmaking in mind when they built Mission Control. Since there was no room for the elaborate camera cranes and tracks we needed for the shots, we had to build our own Mission Control. Everything had to be exact, even down to the tiniest details.
So of course we shot a lot of Apollo 13 right here on the lot, but did you know we don't only film movies and TV shows here at Universal? We can create a whole movie from start to finish, from the script to the very final edit right here on Universal, including building those sets like for Apollo 13. If you look to your left, you'll see this giant warehouse over here, known as our mill, where we construct a lot of the interior sets for a lot of our TV shows. So say you needed the interior of a diner or a house or maybe even a shed, we can build that right there. A lot of our crew members in that mill, and then bring it right across the street to something like our Stage 44, where we shoot The Good Place starring Kristen Bell and Ted Danson, currently in its 3rd season of production. Now, speaking of big names like Ted Danson, another very famous Ted you'll see to your left, that's right, that's the teddy bear, Universal. I truly mean it. If you look again to your left, these used to be the dressing rooms for some of the biggest names in Hollywood, from Jimmy Stewart to Doris Day to Tony Curtis and even Rock Hudson. A lot of independent production companies working for us, and we're bringing movies into the theaters for lower budgets. Every single movie in those days was made by a big Hollywood studio with a big budget. So that said, with a lot of those contract players, we'd have someone sit here for, like Jimmy Stewart here for us, maybe for like 5, 6, or even 7 movies at a time. So it'd be in our best interest and feasible for us to erect a permanent residence for him right here in this area of our lot. On top of that, more modernly, these are now the production offices for some of the biggest names in terms of production studios of all time. For example, Illumination Entertainment has their headquarters right here. They brought you the Despicable Me franchise, Sing, all those great animated movies. And Mark Platt Productions also resides here, who will be responsible for bringing Wicked, the Broadway show, to the big screen in the coming years. These also have a lot more history in terms of talent behind the camera. If you look to your left, you'll see Bungalow 5195. And if that silhouette looks somewhat familiar to you, that's because that was Mr. Alfred Hitchcock's famous production office. That's right, legendary director of The Birds, Vertigo, Rear Window, and Psycho. That's where he resided, did all of his paperwork, went over all the scripts for the big movies that he would shoot on and off the lot here for Universal Pictures. On the newer side of the spectrum, if you look to your left, you'll see our newest sound stages, stages 22 and 23. And this is where they currently shoot Will and Grace, the hit show. And they've actually shot every single season right here in these sound stages. The first thing ever to shoot here was Hairspray Live, which was broadcast to NBC a few years ago. And currently in its 2nd season of production is World of Dance, the hit dance competition on NBC, starring Derek Huff, Neo, and Miss Jennifer Lopez. But now we're coming out of our front lot, and we're coming into our illustrious back lot. When you picture big Hollywood movie making on a giant scale, this is exactly where it's going to happen. If we turn the corner over here, if you look to your right, you see a glimpse of our metropolitan sets. And these 50-foot plus tall buildings are known as facades. You see, because we only shoot the exterior scenes right out here in this part of our lot, these are known as facades for a reason. That's because these are only the fronts and the sides of the buildings. There's actually nothing constructed inside of those facades. In fact, they don't even have a ceiling or a roof to them, because if it's good enough for the camera, it's good enough for us. And because we only shoot the exterior stuff out here, we only have to build exactly what the camera's going to see. A good implementation of the lot here, as well as Brownstone Street, which is home to Jim Carrey and Bruce Almighty.
Grace the dog!
I'm in the shower!
It's like that.
So as you can see on your screens right there, that's exactly where they shot Jim Carrey in a lot of that movie.
Oh, you're done now. Great.
Beautiful. And if you're a movie buff or a big fan of TV, you might have recognized Brownstone Street from Gone Girl, starring Ben Affleck, as well as episodes of The Mindy Project, starring Mindy Kaling. But maybe even more recognizable than that, as you look all around you, this may look very familiar, because this is... Now, speaking of The Grinch, who else could be a worse neighbor to the residents of Whoville? Well, I can one-up you right there, because right in their backyard, this is the original Bates Motel set. If you see on the top of the original Psycho House, the 1960 classic starring Anthony Perkins as Mr. Norman Bates and directed by legendary Alfred Hitchcock. So make sure to get all the pictures you can, because again, these are a piece of history, not in only in movie making, but in TV history and just general history that a lot of people really put a lot of importance on. Now as we come up to the Psycho House on your left-hand side, you'll also notice a little bit of movie-making illusionary in the flesh. This looks a little bit smaller than an average house because it actually is. It's a 3/4 scale because Mr. Alfred Hitchcock wanted Anthony Perkins to look larger than life when he stood in the doorway to make him look even scarier as his portrayal as Norman Bates. A little bit of illusionary that they've been using for years here for a lot of different movies. But maybe even scarier than Norman Bates himself is right in their backyard. Say hello to the Planecraft set from War of the Worlds, directed by Mr. Steven Spielberg, starring Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning. Now the production design and the production value of the set is immense, only comparable to something like The Ten Commandments, directed by Cecil B. DeMille, and maybe James Cameron's Titanic. If you're wondering, that is in fact a real 747 airplane that you're looking at, that we dug up from a plane graveyard and shipped over here, again from the Mojave Desert. In fact, here to tell you more about all this that you're seeing around you is the production designer himself, Mr. Rick Carter, and Mr. Steven Spielberg to boot.
The airplane crash site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around a vision that Steven had.
When we first began to sit down to talk about War of the World, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep listen to me. Listen now. Listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Got them closed? Robbie, get in. Get in.
Believe it or not, Desperate Housewives and War of the Worlds both have something in common. It's in the fact that they're not Universal shows at all. This over here was a Paramount picture, so they actually rented out this part of a lot, used the resources to bring all those props over here, and in fact they didn't want to spend the extra resources to clean it all up, so they sat down, talked with us here at Universal. Now it's a permanent fixture.
My name is Roman Pierce. Pleased to meet you. My buddy Hobbs asked us to stash you from Shaw for a while, so we brought you in our secret spot.
Alright, look guys, we're gonna keep Shaw from finding you, but to keep you safe, we need your help. We don't want the syndicate tracking us here, so put away your cameras and turn off your cell phones. One flash or one ringtone could give us away.
I need y'all to take this real serious.
Okay, pull into the next area and meet you in there.
Alright, looks like we're taking a slight detour to remain undercover, like Letty and Roman just noted. Oh, but look at this! There's a giant ranger going on right now.
Don't think you're getting away!
Way to go, Letty. Don't climb another missile shot. Not gonna happen. Don't worry, I got this. Woman, don't shoot. Heading to the bridge. Under the trenches. Everybody hold. Drive it down.
This large are guaranteed to give us the exact effect that we're going for, and all these little details come together to really grant us that very gratifying kind of a... Oh, there's a flash point coming for car 3. Watch out, everybody! It's coming down for car 1! Oh, man! Okay, maybe a little rain was strange enough, but that definitely wasn't in the forecast today. So sorry about that, guys. Hopefully everyone's nice and safe. Let's remember to remain seated at all times. Keep those arms, legs on the vehicles. Things like that could happen at any moment. Oh, wait a second. Sorry about that. That was my fault. I was looking for the camera button. I found it now, but must have pressed the release water button here on this complicated console. So sorry about that. But a very good opportunity to talk about our flash flood, which is a result of thousands of gallons of recycled water being bolted down that hill at the exact same moment creating that very realistic and very exciting flash flood effect. And it's been here almost as long as the rest of our old Mexico set that's been home to Nacho Libre, starring Jack Black, episodes of Criminal Investigations Beyond Borders, starring Gary Sinise, and even episodes of Westworld and a lot of other productions over the years that this has been implemented. But we're getting another very drastic change of scenery. It looks like, in fact, we're going back in time and crossing the border. So let's say howdy to 6 Points, Texas. This is the oldest implementation to our lot, built all the way back when we opened in 1915. This is, again, 6 Points, Texas. And in fact, in the first year of productions here on the lot, we made 200 different Western films, again, in that first year, all of which took place right here on Mexican Street and all the other streets that took place here in 6 Points. But let me tell you what, I actually have a clip from one of those very, very popular movies that we shot back in the early 1900s.
This town ain't big enough for the both of us, Jimmy Fallon.
Well, I ain't going anywhere, Jimmy Fallon.
Now look here. Nice folks in this tram don't want no trouble. They just want to check out 6 Points, one of the oldest sets on the Universal lot.
I heard this is where John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart shot a few of their westerns.
That's right. That's where I aim to shoot here.
Looks like we got ourselves a Mexican standoff. Lucky shot.
Now what say you mount up and get out of town while the getting's good?
All right. Well, I'll see you again, Fallon.
Oh, you can count on it, Fallon. Again.
This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
We just have to top it out, that's all.
But all joking aside, yes, of course, this is in fact the oldest implementation to our lot, being here over 100 years. We're some of the biggest names in Hollywood.
Welcome to the atoll. If you're in a green seat, you're going to get. There is a lot of water coming. Don't believe me, ask these kids. If you're in a green seat, you're going to get wet. If you're in a silver seat, we ran out of green paint. They call me Sage, I'm in charge around here. Need to see how good you guys are at paying attention. Are you ready? We gotta lock up the atoll. Jeff, get over to the gate. Seaplane. They got a seaplane. See it? Matt, where is it? Get down! I'm Tiger Woods. That would have gone a whole lot further too, but this kid distracted me. No, it's okay. We might need these people. Bag this. That hurt? Yep. Walk it off. Okay. Brothers and sisters!
Hey, Deacon! We are not your brothers and sisters. Am I right, people?
Shut him up, my mouth.
On! Easy. Don't ever tell me to shut up. What?
Shut up. Where was I? Thank you. Desolate showman. You pour our souls on this big floating pile of sheet metal. The provider has spoken. And he tells me personally that somebody around here knows the way to dry land. Dry land, we're paving dry taxes and tithing. Sweet Joe Bob, we're going to use this cruiser, fill it, drill it, and build an 18-hole monument to my beloved self.
You'll never find dry land, Deacon. I won't let you. And neither will the Mariner.
The Mariner? Chuck! Shut the gate. Talking about your boyfriend? Your half man, half fish boyfriend, the guy that poked out my eye?
We're not scared. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? How about now?
Bring me the girl. Right over here. Hello, Helen? Smoke? Wait a minute. I'm not finished talking to you. Don't walk away from me. Do you like games?
No.
You don't? You don't like games at all? I think that's odd. Guys, what have you got up there?
We got an angel! And he's got dirt!
What? That guy's got a bag of dirt? I need to know the way to dry land. So we're going to play a little game, Helen. It's called The First One That Talks Lives.
You leave him alone. He doesn't know anything.
Good. That makes you the winner.
Helen, don't tell that freak anything.
Freak. This guy's a loser. Drop him.
No.
I don't know if he told you about me, but it's worse. You're gonna tell me where Dryland is, or you will be next.
Jet skier!
Somehow I woke up out in Beverly, fucked up, smelling like that bourbon. I end up alone, I'm not certain. Yeah, the girls impolite in the club every night. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect. Hollywood perfect. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect. Ain't got no place to call my own. Feels like I'm better off alone. So sad inside and hopeless. These Hollywood hoes never know that. Can't get back on. Girl, I miss you. Can't get back on. Girl, I miss you. Somehow I woke up out in Beverly, fucked up, smelling like that bourbon. I end up alone, I'm not certain. Yeah, the girls impolite in the club every night. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect. Hollywood perfect. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect. Woke up out in Beverly. Beverly fucked up, smelling like that bourbon. How'd I end up alone? I'm not certain. Girls impolite in the club every night. Somehow I woke up out in Beverly fucked up, smelling like that bourbon. How'd I end up alone? I'm not certain. Girls impolite in the club every night. That's how it goes when you're Hollywood perfect. Hollywood perfect.